fine, whatever. Welcome back to another recap review of Ready to Love Miami. I think this is episode 5. Ignore my wrinkled shirt. Anyway, okay, so they conclude the white party ejection and Tommy's playing games again and they get more time. So nobody gets to go home. He tells them they have some extra time to try to make these connections and do better. So then they go to Tommy invited LJ and Justice and Zoe to talk to them, the 3 men in the bottom. So Justice is hilarious to me, okay? He said some things that just kind of made me bust out in a hard chuckle. One of the things that he said was, I'm about to calm down and stop some of the playfulness. And I was like, where? At the end, he was like, oh, I'm about to go hard as shit at the person I like. Who do Justice like? I was like confused about that part. I was like, what? You like somebody? Anyway, but one of the things that kind of stood out to me was when Tommy addressed the situation of him leaving the party early. And like they handled it just like that. I was like, if it was 2 women and one of the women left the other woman's event early and they had to have words, it would have been so much more conversation than that. That was funny how quickly men handle stuff. Now, I mean, they could have edited something out, but it seemed like they just handled it very quickly. So I don't know if we could have did that if it was 2 women involved. But so Justice is having problems with dating multiple women. And like I said before about this show, in real life, you're not going to have the people that you're interested in and having dates with actually getting together to talk about you weekly, you know? So I do feel him on that. But if you're not saying anything different to all of the women, what's the problem if you just being real? All of y'all know y'all in this process. So I don't know, but he having problems with the multiple dating thing. So Zoe says that he's going to open up a bit. I don't see that he did that at all, but that just kind of makes me feel like there was a lot going on behind the scenes, because even when for this next part they all did a group date where they went go-kart riding, and it just seemed like Zoe was on some other type of energy the whole time from whatever we saw on TV. I mean, I understand dudes being competitive and shit like that, but at the end of the day, it's not that serious. I'm gonna need you to calm down a little bit. He actually hit Trinika with his go-kart like hard as hell. And it was so hard that she did a little cutaway and said that it hurt her wrist. She like actually stopped riding around with them. I don't even know if I remember him apologizing for that, but he was just on that date, on that group date. And so it looked like, Sharice wasn't feeling them, and she whispered something to the girls or whatever. But Zoe was just on one. So I don't know. I don't like dudes that compete like that. Like, I thought we was just playing. Like, what's happening? Like, he was real pressed to be the winner. There's no prize. So then Katie and Trinika pull Justice to the side. Now, I have to admit that this was the first time that it actually dawned on me that Trinika liked Justice, and Justice might like her too. But I didn't think Justice liked anybody. And I just thought Trinika was so into Randall. So Katie says that she pulls Trinika back there with them because she knew Trinika was gonna bring a Zen attitude or whatever. And so they get to talking and they going back and forth about who called who and who said what. Katie pulls out her phone, and it was just more difficult Justice and more difficult Katie. They both are bumping heads, right? They're both strong personalities, so I can get it. But then I was actually looking at it and I was like, they might actually like each other. If one of them could get past the strong-mindedness in this situation, in a relationship, it has to be some give and take. Both of y'all can't lead, you know what I mean? So, but I didn't really consider it until I saw them bickering back and forth at the table. And Justice was looking like he was enjoying the whole back and forth thing. Justice probably cool as shit, but on a romantic level, I don't like Justice because Justice gives me Playboy vibes, and it's just, oh God, I cannot. But I think they actually like each other. But it ended with him trying to give her a hug, and she was not trying to get the hug, and then they overheard like Zoe yelling in the back from somewhere, like, and so she was like, she gonna go check on everybody else. And he was like, okay, baby. Justice was like, okay, baby. I was like, okay, but then, okay, let's rewind, because this was also the part I was like realizing that Trinika really liked Justice. And I was just like, Trinika, girl, what are you doing? She was trying to like translate what some of the women have been saying about Justice. And before each statement, she prefaced it with, you know, I can't relate, but blah, blah, blah. Or she ended it with, but I can't relate. I get it. You can't relate to how the other girls are feeling. But when you say they, that gives the impression that you're not talking about yourself. So you don't have to keep saying, I can't relate. When she just kept saying, I can't relate, I was cracking up. But she said she has a spiritual connection with Justice. So I don't know. I didn't even see that she liked him. That is throwing a little wrench in the game for me with her and Randall. But then Randall got Jamala and Kayla as well. So that might get interesting. Trinika tripped me out though. But she is really sweet and nice. So for that reason also, I do not like Justice for her. So I hope that did not go anywhere. Anyway. So yeah, so Kadian gets up to go see what's going on. And Zoe and Sharice have gone off to play pool. In that conversation, which I really didn't understand this either, because it was clear that Sharice already was not feeling Zoe like that. Like, I don't understand the purpose of this conversation. Like, I don't know, because it just seemed like she already knew she wasn't feeling him. So she goes over there, they're talking, they're playing pool. She asked him about his connections, and he's like, well, you know, I didn't really think he was taking me seriously or taking this seriously. And he was like, telling her that she was fake, and that, you know, they're not talking about other connections. They're supposed to be talking to each other, I guess. And then it just kind of gets like a little heated where, you know, he actually tells her, I don't want you, tells her like, I feel like he said, get the fuck on or something too, to that effect. And then in the conversation, he was like, because I don't want you. And she was like, well, that's okay, because I have other connections now. You don't need to say that, you know, like, that's like if your job fires you, you be like, oh, well, I got a job already. They don't care. So I feel like Sharice's feelings did kind of get hurt, because later on she was crying. I mean, she looked like she was crying. She sounded like she was crying. She wiped her eye. She cried. You know what I'm saying? Over Zoe. Well, I don't even think it was over Zoe. I think that, you know, she got her feelings hurt. And then on top of the fact, it was Zoe. Like, this Zoe is trying to carry me. I feel like that's how Sharice was feeling. Like, no, he did not carry it like that with the cameras rolling and people gonna see this on TV. That's how I felt, or whatever, because I don't think she was crying over Zoe. But I do think she was really upset and felt some kind of way in that moment. But he needed to go. He been needed to go. Like, that whole scene was crazy, and we only saw whatever they edited and put together. I can imagine how much chaos it was when that was being filmed real time. Like, he was off the chain. He was out of pocket though. But I don't know. LJ tried to talk to him, and then he left. And then LJ went over and talked to Sharice, and that's when she was crying. So Tommy talked to Shakira because her business has been leaked outside of the women's lounge, and she's upset about that. Tommy says he got her, and, you know, stuff that's talked about in the women's lounge should stay in the women's lounge. So here's another, like, little window to her trauma, which I really think that this, especially this particular show, is not good for anybody who's trying to still work through something. And I feel like we're going to see next episode a little bit of how toxic this might be for her. She went into the situation seemingly too trusting. You don't know these people. You got to be careful what you share. You are filming for a TV show. And if anybody says that they did not watch any previous seasons before they've been on here, I don't want to talk to that person, because come on now, don't do that. So anyway, I just had to say that because I feel like somebody's gonna ask somebody a question and be like, well, haven't you seen the show before? And you see what kind of stuff came out, and they could be like, no, I didn't see any episodes. I don't want to hear that shit this season, okay? Anyway, moving on. This just wasn't the show I think should have picked. But anyway, there was also a picnic date with Samson and Looney, Brandy and Mike, but it really is nothing to report because you guys know that Brandy and Mike were like stuck to each other. So, you know, I don't think Samson and Looney are a connection, so there's that. So Tommy did talk to the women in the women's lounge and told them like stuff should stay where it is. I guess we won't know if there was any extra conversation that we didn't see on the show behind the scenes or off camera from Tommy actually addressing the situation in detail, but it looked like from what Katie said, she doesn't agree. That was all I really had more thoughts about on this episode. Next week is gonna be more of Shakira's situation coming out, I guess, or she's gonna be reacting to something that happened. And like with stuff like this too, like when they're watching these shows re-air, they don't know what OWN has put together for us to watch, so they're watching this with us. Like I hope that the stuff that happens or that they show or however they weave this story, that it doesn't like re-affect her, you know what I mean? But anyway, not my monkey, not my show. I'm just here to watch. So Brandy is supposed to go and meet Zoe to give him the conversation of he's not ready to love. If there was anybody that I wanted to hear from somebody's mouth that they are not ready to love, it would be Zoe, because Zoe just kind of showed his ass on here to me. And there's no telling, y'all know I always think about what goes on behind the scenes. Like if they showed us this, what did they cut out? Some of the stuff we're seeing full clips of, but like I wanted him to come and face the music. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing, sir? Cause what are you doing? Cause he was just, no. What are you doing? I hope he is watching these episodes as they air, because this is a point of self-reflection. You know what I mean? You can't go back in the past, but you can definitely learn from your mistakes. And so I hope you are watching how you portray yourself on TV. Yeah, OWN had the rights to clip it and string it together how they wanted to, but that was you that was in there competing with women. That was you that was in there telling Sharice to get the fuck on. Like, you really, really, you need to do some deep self-reflection, sir. Because no. He didn't show up. That was that. At that point, you already know he's the one that's going to be let go. So Justice gets more time. You know what I mean? And LJ gets to be safe as well. So that's all I have for this video. On Saturdays, Kamisha Reviews has a panel where she has a whole bunch of content creators that come together and they discuss the past week's episode. The cast members show up, current cast members, and there's some past cast members that come through as well. And there's past cast members that are on the panel, like Stacey B and Keena and Tina. Y'all need to go ahead and check out Kamisha Reviews, because you never know who's going to come through the chat, who's going to hop on the panel. And sometimes the past cast members provide a little bit more context behind some of the stuff that might have left us as viewers confused. So anyway, make sure y'all check out Kamisha Reviews. Anyway, I'm bydamitajo, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace. Fine, whatever.